11:59. Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come be live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns. And we don't talk about the stuff that the media is trying to make us talk about, programming us into talking about and whatnot. This is episode 1225, so it's 220 something episodes longer than a lot of channels, and then 1,000 episodes longer than all the rest. So we're older and bigger and better than all the other chats, and you can be part of it because we don't cower behind microphones and scripts and all kinds of crap. We just throw the link out there. We encourage you to join and sit around for the first couple minutes moping about how people don't join in, and then we have good conversations. Typically our show lasts like 3 hours, 4 hours easily, and it's all good gun conversation. And it's all free. It's brought to you by 187 Patreons who make it possible by paying my bills so that I can host this show every week, or every day, actually. So we'll sit here and mope and complain nobody joins and blah, blah, blah until people join in, and then we'll start talking about guns. Hopefully you can hear this. I don't know. Can you hear this? Is this thing on? So let's see. It's Black Friday. Everybody was eating food yesterday, and now they're going shopping. Tomorrow, hopefully, people are going to gun shops. It's Small Business Saturday. Maybe archery shops, surplus stores get overlooked. Be cool to go to a museum's gift shop. If we had a museum here, I'd go to their gift shop and then virtue signal how I go there and guilt everybody and then not go in there. Let's see. Otherwise, other small businesses are good. Some kind of small businesses are probably good. Gardening places, good time to go get all your stuff for next year's gardening. There's books that'll tell you when to plant, like the Farmer's Almanac. They've got good info. Just general wives' tales, like good general rules of thumb that are easy to remember and pass down. And as well as stuff about companion planting. I find that really interesting. If you plant certain things next to each other, the essence of one keeps the pests away from the other. It can be really useful for keeping a garden without pesticides, which is good. You have that knowledge, then you're not beholden to the pesticide corporations that are out there forcing people what to plant or whatever. Or put pesticides on. I don't know what they do. So let's see. What else we got to talk about? I've been working, so I'm just going to go back to working, I guess. Start threatening. Mope threaten here. That's my usual thing, first part of the show. Trying to get people to join. I got this hypnotizing thing here. First, Bob comes up wearing his little short pants. And he takes off his glasses. Then shoots at you with a 9mm, so it's not that dangerous. Then put a bunch of powder on the table. Then he shoots them 60 at you. Then he kicks you. Then he goes back to putting his foot up and taking his sunglasses off, which makes you know he's serious about it. Then he shoots you with a 9mm again. It's got a suppressor on it, so nobody's going to hear it. Then there's a bunch of money. This show is all about the money. This show is about the profit. That's why we do it every single day. It's more profit for us. It's all about the profit here. Let's see. Then what else happens? Takes off his glasses. He's super serious. He gives you the crook eye. Bam. Shoots you with a 9mm. Then looks at all that powder on the table. I don't know if it's Clorox or cleaning supplies. Probably. It's in Canada. Everything's filthy up there. Then the logo comes up. There's a bunch of wizardry on the screen to make the logo pop around like magic. There's barbecue jumping in. So barbecue, let's see, how am I going to do this? You here? Have I been talking the whole time? I can never tell. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not even talking this whole time. Is my little thing making noises? Hold on.
Yeah, I've been hearing you.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. I didn't see my little thing wiggling. When it's this girl, she doesn't wiggle the same as when it's a normal icon or whatever. So anyway, so if you got stuff to talk about, I'm going to close that weird Bob thing. You would think having Bob in his little suit, taking his sunglasses off, would just bring people to this chat. Like, that's how you know this chat's legitimate. It's not one of them fake ass chats. In this little suit, taking this. See, if you say it twice, it's even more important. Anyway, I'm going to go grab something off my phone, and then go verify something. Let me first make sure that I am not screen sharing everybody's names. Okay, now I'm going to go to the store. Boom, and boom, and boom. All right, boom, and boom. Yeah, so there's going to be 2 emails that go out right now. There's DJ jumping in. So I'm going to send out these emails right now. Actually, it's going to take me a minute. So if you guys say stuff, that'd be good.
Right on. It's a good day here in Omaha, and it's fitting to be an even better day tomorrow. We're coming out of 30-degree daytime temps and bumping up into the 50s, low 50s tomorrow. And then, of course, it crashes back down again. But that'll be great for Small Business Saturday here. And I will be going to several local gun shops and doing a lot of browsing. But looking forward to that and any conversations that might happen. I'm going to be decked out in 2A gear and some of it from the gear website store. And yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to tomorrow. What's happening up there in Pennsylvania, barbecue? A significant delay. So, oh no, he had to go away. I think you might have been having some internet trouble. That's not that bad. So, industry and tech is a Friday topic on
Muted
Daily
symbol,
Gun Show.
but if he is, oh, there it is. Apparently, I'm having issues. I apologize.
That's all right. You're here now. Your icon is back to the generic one instead of your logo. But yeah, what's going on in Pennsylvania? Oh no. So industry and tech is something that we talk about on Fridays, or we plan to talk about on Fridays, among other gun topics. And I think that it would be a good idea tonight for anybody who is way more familiar with StreamYard than I am to give some information about how to join in the broadcasts and how to navigate each step and just be confident in the fact that it really doesn't matter how little you want to contribute in the voice chat in the room. Being there and making a comment now and again is plenty enough. We all like to have our voices be heard. So if the live voice is not for you, then certainly throw some stuff down there in the text chat. And unlike some other channels, we always are out there to help out anybody with questions or encourage comments. So go ahead and do that. Send out a text message to your friends, have them tune in, send them a link. That'd be great.
Hold on. I'm trying to get a picture here for Guns and Barbecue. He's having trouble being connected, I think. But first off, there's the topics, right? They're not like some kind of rule. Like the topics are to give us some guidance or whatever, but I appreciate what you're doing. We don't have to it's not the only topics. It's Black Friday, and hopefully people are going to jump in because they got the weekend off or whatever, and we can talk 2A. That's really what this show's about. Now, as far as the tech stuff, tech is gun material, like aluminum guns and magnesium guns. We would talk about 3D printing, that kind of tech. Monday is for people that are trying to build content and stuff like that. Just FYI. I don't really care because I just said there's no hard, fast rules. But honestly, I don't know. I told you the other day, I'm getting less than nobody's up at midnight who's like, oh, I've never, had a gun conversation before. At least I suspect. Now, if they are out there and they're like, hey, I've never had a gun conversation, chime in. But it's rare. I'm thinking at midnight, it's people that know what's going on. So I'm just thinking, let the what's the word, like reaching down for the people that are brand new to the internet. Let's do that in the daytime. At nighttime, like get on here if you're competent. We got Walt out there, we got Woods out there. There's people that like Pink and Sandy that jump into the chat that have been doing this for 5 years. Let's BS, but keeping in mind that we got people that know what they're doing coming on board. All that being said, I do appreciate trying to help fill time or what, but there's only 4 people out there, and it is an odd day. It's not a typical Friday. So I'm not going to do the normal or the stuff I was planning on doing actually this weekend because basically it's a weird weekend, right? Everybody's, well, if they are traveling, they're traveling. And if they're not, then they're probably shopping or whatever, or at least preoccupied with that kind of stuff for family stuff. I was listening to the chat earlier and it was mostly, well, it wasn't mostly, but they were talking a lot about the other stuff, the family stuff. They're buying snow blowers and appliances and stuff because that's all that stuff's on sale right now. So anyway, I'm still trying to get this dang picture off. I don't know if he's having any better luck. But where are you guys at with wanting to chat? Like if we want to chat stuff, let's get into a conversation. There's 7 people out there. You know the deal. Jump in, or chat, or we can go do other stuff. But what do you guys, as far as two-way stuff, as far as gun topics? You said you're going to shops tomorrow, trying to get stuff going. So you said going in and talking 2A. Is tomorrow really the best day to talk 2A? I mean, I guess you're talking 2A to a customer who's waiting in line. Yeah, maybe that's the best time. But because there's no, they're going to be waiting in line a long time. But as far as the employees and stuff, that's, I guess, what I was thinking. I'm like, there ain't going to be much.
I was thinking about other customers, milling about and waiting in line or waiting to fill out their 4473s on purchases, and the impetus would just be, I hope, based on the 2A gear that I'm wearing. I'm not going to like walk around with a clipboard or anything like that. Natural, organic development of conversation would be great. And
you probably have the potential for this year for a bunch of people because of the situations and stuff. What you're doing, like what do you call it, window shopping? So that lends itself to BSing. Now, as far as 2A talk in a gun shop, man, I wish that was a thing. Like that would be the best, but I haven't. I don't know if I've ever been into a gun shop. I have been into gun shops that talk 2A because I'm in them, right? But normally gun shops don't talk 2A. Like they don't like that kind of stuff, political stuff and that kind of thing. That's not good for business. So usually gun shops are apolitical as they can be, and that, or I guess sometimes, no, actually very rarely. I've been to 200 something gun shops now, and I'm trying to think on the number. I could probably count on one hand. I'm not even kidding how many of them have like political stuff all over the place. Maybe like a political thing somewhere is going to happen, but I mean, almost anywhere can have a political thing jammed in a corner somewhere in the mail or something. But as far as talk, I guess your stores better than me. Do your stores care about that kind of stuff? Or they?
No, it's not something that they might bring up. But especially, the climate right now, and not trying to delve into politics. People trying to make their way through all the mixed messages they're getting. I guess I was just, mostly looking forward to those who have a basic understanding, but are motivated right now to be considering what they might not have known about the Second Amendment before, and what that means, particularly in this state for 2021. Because I'm certainly trying to, kind of grassroots style, get some people thinking about making a trip to Lincoln, to the state legislature next year, because there will be some stuff there that we will need to represent our cause. So I'm not yet. You said I could print up every second matters cards. I have not done that yet, but that's the kind of thing I think that I would do. I'm not going to hit everybody with a card or anything like that, but yeah, for people just milling about and stuff like that, I would like to hit about 15 stores tomorrow. So I'm really only going to be contributing about a half an hour to each, and maybe only 10 to 15 minutes of that where I won't be concentrating on my own interests. So, a 15 to 20-minute test hit with the folks in the store. And I do wish I had some stuff to drop on each shop. But I'll be looking forward to doing that in the new year or before Christmas, perhaps. So maybe we could talk about that and ideas about how to spread the good word on during another chat. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm anticipating doing tomorrow. But I'll be happy to give everybody an update and maybe post some Instagram stuff.
How many shops are in Omaha then?
Well, I'm counting the pawn shops that have high traffic. Because we are at the end of a month. So a bunch of people are going to be bringing things in, and a lot of stuff is going to be coming out after the first of the month. So there's one chain now of local pawn shops, and they have like 5 locations. I'm not counting any of the box stores or the sporting goods stores in my travel, because those are uber corporate. And then independent gun shops, yeah, I'll go to like a dozen or so. And then there are just a few that I don't go to. So I get to answer your question more directly without hitting the yellow pages, 20 outside of stores that have other interests or pawn.
No, that's pretty good. I mean, I haven't counted recently because things change, I guess. But Tucson's typically got about 16. I don't count every pawn shop. There'd be a lot more with pawn shops, but that might only count 1 or 2 pawn shops that are pawn shops technically, but they're gun shops that pawn stuff. So yeah, that's pretty tough. Like at least in Tucson, that would take me, well, to get all of them, like say about 16, it would take me, well, a while, because basically 1 or 2 are outliers, right? 3 even are outliers. So while some of them I can kind of hit because of the way roads are and stuff, I still got to kind of weave around or drive up a valley or something to hit one. So you're just like all in a grid. Is that, you said a half an hour at each? I mean, I'm just trying to do the math there. That's like when a couple of times I've tried to hit, or I have hit all Tucson ones in one day, and that's like 9 to 3 or something. That's like hardcore, and that's rolling up. One of them was just rolling up and taking a picture of each one, like hardly even going into all of them, barely going into a couple of them. So have you done that before? I mean, is that a doable thing?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Buddy and I regularly over the last couple of years will go out on like a middle of the week day when stuff is slow, and we'll hit 8 to 10. It kind of depends on how much there is to look at, how long it takes to get an employee to respond to, pulling stuff from a case or answering questions, taking offers, that sort of thing. But yeah, we're a grid. The city starts at First Street after the river, and I live in the south central part of the town. And I still consider it to be so because that's what it has been before all the expansion to our west and south. And so I'm at 50th South Central. There aren't many shops east of that longitude. The northeast part of town has a conspicuous absence of shops. There really is only one pawn store, and they don't even display. You can go in, and there are 2 ticket booth style windows, and you can ask what they have. They have a few things just behind that countering, but after that you just ask. So that takes care of the northeast quadrant all the way out to 72nd Street or so. So that whole northeast quadrant, one genuine place, and it's a pawn shop. In the downtown area, there used to be 4 or 5, but now there are 3. One of them is conveniently 1 block away from the police headquarters, so you can pick up and do the city registration. Bing, bing. And then the pawn shops start in the southeast portion of the city, and there are half a dozen there.
What do you mean city registration? You got to register a gun if you buy it there?
In Omaha, you do. It's not state, it's local. Yep. Not fun, but yeah. And then, then it just kind of expands out with the suburban neighborhoods and whatnot. Deep South O and across the county line from Douglas to Sarpy County, it's there. And then in the west, they're starting at like 90th Street or so. Things really go. And then the box stores are out there as well. So it used to be you could run corner to corner or straight across up and down in about 15 to 20 minutes by utilizing the interstate that rings the city. But now the expansion, and I would say that was up until the 90s, but now you're a good half hour with easy traffic. Same thing. So it's doubled. The commute has doubled since then. And 10 to 15 minutes of travel in between each shop. So I could probably knock it out in, a little over 10 hours. So, and stuff will be rolling up, they're rolling up the sidewalks, also because it's a Saturday. So I'll have to time those out. The pawn shops stay open later. But I don't know what special hours anybody's running for tomorrow.
I don't know. Nobody ever did any special hours here, I don't think. Maybe in a crazy year they opened early.
Well, early open is a lot more common in 2020 than late close, certainly. Places like to get it stopped off by 6.
Yeah, for a gun shop, they probably got to open early for the FUDs, and then they come in and buy all their 12 gauge and their 45 ACP.
Yeah.
Slowly with a walker.
Yeah.
They got to tell everybody about it when they're buying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that the advantage sometimes to go into the pawn shops is as soon as you can get the attention of, either the manager or the solid staff, you can find out who brought what in just to sell, not pawn. And like I said, indicated earlier, end of the month beginning of the month is perfect place to strike because people are just dumping what they have. So you might not get the best discount because it's been sitting in the case for, a year or something like that. But if they just want a quick flip for 20%, they'll do it sometimes. And as a regular customer, though I don't always have the money, I'm always interested. So they know me, they know my face, my name, and what stuff I like to look for. I ask the same questions at every place. Do you have any broken or junk guns? What do you have in revolvers? It's pointing questions gets me in and out of there faster.
All right, so Clover jumped in. Barbecue's in here. I don't know if Barbecue's got a logo now. I don't know if his mic is working.
What's up? How's it sound?
It sounds okay.
You sound good. Clover, and stuff. We could I think I heard Clover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can barely hear you.
Okay. Well,
it's a little better, right?
A little subdued. How's it going, Clover?
I haven't done anything different.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it sounds like maybe you set the phone down and like walked on the other side of the room or something, right?
Yeah, hang on.
I thought maybe you're outside or something.
Nope, same mic I use all the time. So.
Oh,
there you go. Now you're loud and proud.
No, I don't know. Did you hear it click? I almost heard like a click.
Yeah, I switched the mute button off and on the mic.
Oh, okay. Then that's all it was.
Maybe it was in a half position or something weird. I got to get a new headset.
I know you're going to your thing tomorrow. Are you going more than one? DJ was saying he's going to be able to get to a whole bunch tomorrow.
Nah, I'll just have time for the one. There's really only one. Um, I mean, within any kind of distance, anyway. There's really only one anyway, and I take that back. There's two, but the other one they do all their crap um, Black Friday, and they're total douchebags. I don't like them. They're cheaper than dirt caliber people.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, they're horrible.
There are a bunch of those here just across the
But
river in
they're
Council Bluffs, yeah, where it's just
they're
not even worth going in there.
well, they're backed by big money, right?
No,
And
yeah.
so they buy bulk cheap stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, they buy the cheap stuff. They buy it in bulk so they get it in even cheaper, and then they just blow out all the other mom and pops and stuff with cheap stuff, and then they talk it up like, oh yeah, this Anderson lower is whatever. It's the same price as it's $10 cheaper than the Spikes lower you can get over there, and they talk it up like it's just as good, and but it's not a Spikes, it's an Anderson. Let's be honest about it here. Come on. And I don't know, just their gunsmithing is horrible, and I don't know. I don't like the folks. And they're not friendly either. They're there to sell you crap, basically.
Yeah, out of the 16 or so that are in Tucson, there's at least one who I don't like. And then
Yeah.
there has been usually about 3 or 4 that are ornery. Like, I don't even know why, some people just go to business to spite everybody or something. Like, they just do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a guy. There was a guy here. He passed away. It was an old dude, and man, he had some cool stuff. I ain't even lying, but it's kind of like DJ was saying almost. So he had a counter, and there was a room behind the counter, but it was glass in between the counter and that room, so you could see what was in the room. And so all of his guns were in a room behind the counter, behind glass. And so, and like, you would walk up and he would just like be sitting there watching TV. He wouldn't say hi when you walked in. You'd be like walking around because there was other stuff there, and he wouldn't say, "Can I help you?" or nothing. And when you walk up there, and you're kind of, because I mean, literally, it was like 15 foot to the, through the glass and everything else. You couldn't really see anything back there. He didn't keep nothing out. And he acted like he was put out anytime that you asked, did he have this or have that? And then if you was able to spot something and asked to see it, he asked all put out. And then he didn't have any price tags on anything. And he just acted like he didn't want to sell any, like he had all of the guns out there. It was like me. If I opened a store and I put my collection in the store and I was just a douche to everybody because I didn't really want to sell it. I just wanted people to come in and maybe talk about my guns in there or show them off, or I don't know. It's weird, but he passed away. So, won't speak too ill of the dead there, but yeah, he was.
I think there's something. It's like, they've got their clientele or whatever, and they're making their money, and they just, well, maybe they got burned or something by a walk-in, but then it's like get an appointment only situation because I guess I haven't been to too many like that. I know of gun shops that are like that where,
oh yeah,
I guess you can walk in if the door's not maybe locked, but sometimes they are locked, and then you basically either have to call them or make an appointment, and then most of the time it's almost like an FFL who's just got a place instead of doing it out of his house. But it's like if you want a gun, you call him and he makes the gun happen. But it's not like they have a stock. Like it's not like there's a store with an inventory and
right.
They're just buying guns on speculation, really. That's how most gun shops are, really, just buying on speculation, hoping you're going to like one of their guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a couple. There are a couple of those that have that same FFL arrangement that you just mentioned. Where they are appointment only, and then several gunsmith shops, little shops that will have. I mean, a couple of them are authorized dealers, for some stuff, but they usually don't have inventory. But you can always stop in, see what they do have that, you know, were projects that people just abandoned, and now they have for sale, or just gear that they have. But yeah, that phenomenon of owner operators bringing in their collections and housing them there, I've never found a bargain that way.
There's two places that come to mind. One of the guys, he's still open. He's part of his garage is annexed out, right? And there you do have to make an appointment. So every grave once in a while, I'll hit him up because he could get, you know, a pretty good deal on certain things, or I did anyway. And you know, but he doesn't. He takes things in on trade and other stuff. So when you go up there to pick up something, every now and then you find a deal. And then there's another shop that's closed, but the amount of used stuff in this little shop was, man, I mean, it might have been a 400 square foot, maybe 400 or 500 square foot shop or something like that. Tiny, very tiny. I mean, you walk in and pretty much what you see is it, you know, there's no back room or anything like that. But man, the amount of used stuff that guy was open for like 2 years, I guess. Man, I bought so many through there. I mean, I don't know what type of clientele he had or where he was picking up the used stuff or whatever, but I mean, he had some great used stuff that was just deals. Every single time you went in, there would be two or three. I mean, you would have to literally try to make a decision on which one you want, and it was tough because you knew that the two you didn't pick wasn't going to be there the next week or possibly even the next day.
Well, I've been seeing shops where, like, let's say the guy's into out here at least Old West guns, right? Or let's say they're into ARs or whatever it is they're into, long range guns. You know, there's a million things, or maybe a couple things, whatever. But there's things that are their expertise and stuff that isn't. So when the stuff that comes in that isn't, and you know they're getting three guns from a whatever, and you know they're buying all three, and you know they know they got this one at a deal, and they don't care what the other ones were. You know, like they look in their blue book and it's, you know, they give them a fair price and then they put it out there, not realizing that the blue book is not the best price anymore, right? That's, I think, where some of that comes from, right? Like they know their guns and they've got them there for sale because they don't care about them, they don't want them, right? The one gun they wanted or they made their money on. Anyway, I've seen that happen where somebody will come in and make all their money on the one gun and they just put the other ones out because I don't want them, you know, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Because the states come in like that, and not every gun shop is going to know the value of every gun.
Right.
Especially like, well, it doesn't matter. You get into whatever niche, you're always going to know more than the gun shop, more than likely, unless you go to a gun shop into that niche.
Well, I guess, but this particular gentleman, he had a blue book there on the counter, you know. And
oh no, I know, but I'm just saying the blue book ain't always right. The blue book is right for like the majority of stuff. But like, let's say when I'm collecting my Saturday night specials, they're going to say 30, 60 bucks or something, but there might be one that I know is from a certain factory that we know as collectors, there's only 30 of, but blue book doesn't bother to keep that nuance, you know, aware of it, whatever.
Right.
So they're going to get this. And, you know, there might be something, most of the time they know, you know, if there's like this one has a blue stock and that makes it worth $400 more. Like they know that kind of stuff. They're not a bad resource, but I'm just saying there are some weird stuff. And when I'm talking about weird stuff, like it's the stuff I like, you know, the kind of stuff that's inexpensive or just odd that the blue book can't keep track of, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, then that's rare. That's weird stakes. But most people are going to go off what blue book says, and you still get people that just don't realize, you know, they don't agree, let's say, on what 80% or 60% or whatever is. Mm-hmm. You know, I've talked to old guys who think 80% is a whole different thing than I think 80% is. Like, you know,
yeah,
we're talking 80% of whatever mint or 80% of like pristine condition.
Right, new in the box, yeah.
Yep. One of the things that I despise lately is the utilization of goddamn gun broker pricing.
Yeah.
You know, like you come in, it's priced at, you know, 125% of what it should be. Mm-hmm. and then make an offer, and they counter offer with showing you that, well, I'm cheaper than this auction. I was like, okay, we'll search the completed auctions.
Right. Yeah, they show you the buy now on Gun Broker is what
Yeah.
they'll do. They don't show you what they actually sold for.
Yeah, that's unscrupulous. If they're going to show you something on the net, then I'd be okay with. I could understand at least like the completed auctions of Gun Broker. It's possible that can be fudged or screwed with just to set you up, and I'm sure that's a thing. But for the most part, if it's a common gun and you're like, hey, can I get it for $100 less than you can buy it on Gun Broker? And they're like, hey, we're aware we can sell this on Gun Broker easily for that extra 100. You know what I mean? Like that I can understand. But yeah, when it's like, oh, well, full retail is this. And look, here's a place that sells it for full retail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Gun Broker, I mean, yeah, it just depends. If they're looking at completed auctions and then they're willing to sell it for the price of the completed auction, that's pretty fair because you've got transfer fee that's going to come off the top. You ain't going to have to worry about probably, and you've got shipping that's going to come off the top. So I mean, you're going to save $50 plus, easily off trying to get one off Gun Broker if they're willing to go that price. So, and again, it depends on what it is, right?
Absolutely.
Some things. I mean, look at the Keltec line, and when that stuff releases and you can't get it, and it's what's it worth? It's worth whatever somebody's going to pay. So MSRP is $399 on it, but they're selling on Gun Broker legit selling for $799, $800, $850, some of those different ones, and I mean that's what they're bringing. Are they technically worth that? Is the intrinsic value, the whatever? No, but that's the market value is what people are willing to pay.
Yep. I can hardly wait for them to clear out of the market. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, I cracked the code once at a pawn shop, and so I have all their locations now on the tags. I can read their code for what they paid for stuff, and it's really simple. And I've since applied that at a couple of other places, and they're using the same system. Put your 10 fingers out in front of you, left to right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's MONEYTALKS. And they'll have that alphanumeric there. So you can figure, that's one of the, and if you go 20% over, if it's been there longer than a month, half of them will take it on the spot. They'll, so
I used to do some IT work for several pawn shops, and they had it was alpha, it was alphanumeric. What is that code? Whatever algorithm, whatever you want to call it, and it was printed on their tags, and so none of them told me this, but in doing the IT work, I figured it out, and man, I made bank buying from those, no matter what it was, right? Because I would go in there, and I could tell by the number what they gave for it.
Do you know Brownell's code in the catalog?
No, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The thing next to the price is the wholesale price in Brownell's catalog. So when a gun shop shows you the Brownell's catalog and they go, point at what you want, because I'm, whatever, I don't know what you want. Tell me what you want. You point at it and then they order it. That's the wholesale price they're paying for.
Really?
Look at the price. I don't have Brownell's catalogs. I don't buy from them ever. But if you look at the catalog, it's got like the description, some number, ... the price. That's the number is the. When you look at it, you can tell immediately what I'm talking about. Like once you know what it is, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, duh. But it's just got letters in front of it or something to make it.
Wow.
Cool. Thanks for the tip.
Right.
But yeah, knowing the code or whatever, I mean, that's their bad for being lazy, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's most shops are going to do something because they can't keep track of every gun. So they got to do something to know what they paid for it when you bring it up there, especially if it's the kind of shop that will actually haggle or whatever you want to call it. Actually, what's that called? Is that just called haggling, or is that there's a name for that kind of shopping? Because there are shops that are like, if it's whatever the price is on the tag, or get out of here.
I never kept that on a tag, but I kept it in the always kept a log in the computer, and so it was so frustrating, man, with employees. You wouldn't be there, and they'd call, they'd go, so and so's in here, and they're looking at this, and they said they'd give this much money, and it's like, why are you calling me? It's like the list is there. Are they offering more than what we gave for it? More than we got in it? Yeah, then take it. Take the money and run. Quit calling.
Well, it matters if you're a good customer or not too. Like a good customer will get a better deal than, or buy a gun that isn't for sale. Like there's all kinds of perks of being a good customer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And you don't have to be a paying. Well, most of the time it helps to be a paying customer. Like buy a bunch of stuff, but you don't have to just buy stuff. Being a good customer entails a bunch of different things.
Yep. Yeah, I've gotten special treatment at multiple places over the years, which is nice. I always, if anybody asks now with a local gun shop, they'll be like, "What'd you give for that?" And I'm like, "Well, here's what the sticker price was on it, or whatever." Because I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't like telling somebody and then they go up there expecting, if it's the same item or something like that, expecting the same. And a lot of times because they'll tell me, they'll be like, well, hey, how much is this? And they're like, for you, X number of dollars. And I'll be like, no, if I tell somebody about this, how much is this? And they're like, oh, this much. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's always nice getting that special pricing. The one shop I go to mainly, I'll get that fairly often. Or if I take something into him to sell, he'll be like, what do you got to have on it? And I'll tell him, you're always fair with me. You tell me where you got to be. And there's been times where he'll come back and say, oh, but I'll give you $4.50 for this, and I tell him, oh, well, I was hoping to only get 4.25. So, and he'll still try and give me the $4.50, and I'll tell him no, because if I would have said 4.25, any other shop would have said, okay, here's 4.25, or they would have tried to go lower on me, and I scratch his back, he scratches mine. It's a nice trade-off.
Right. Well, I get and several other people at the local gun shop. I I'm on their FFL too, which helps, but they'll do line of credit. So like layaway, but you get to take the gun basically. And so there's several of us. Last time I was in there was a guy that's a regular that was picking up a shotgun that had sat there for a while, but that's normally what we do. Is we'll do that with things that have sat there for a while. You know what I mean? And the thinking behind that, at least the conversation I've had with the owner, is that, at least you're getting $200 to $400 a month instead of that sitting there for 3 months and you're getting nothing.
Well, and it'll depend also on the environment. The things your guys are describing, some of the stuff you're describing, I could see it like some shops doing it, but then there's also times when they're like, they're never going to do anything. Like there's no way. They know that if they put a gun up, it's going to sell. Like those kind of times. Obviously, it's different, but it can get trending towards or away from those times, and that's where I don't know. I think it would also. I guess I say this because I've done this. Like it's what's the word? Like it's pushing the friendship or whatever when you bug them about buying a gun that's somebody else could would just walk in and buy probably.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's sort of an issue, I guess.
Even with my local gun shop, and like I said, it's a different relationship than just a customer. It really is, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he's on a net system as far as like wholesale and paying the distributors and stuff. So he's gotten, by the time he has to pay them, if I put it on, I call it the tab. If I put it on the tab, then most of the time, by the time he pays his distributor, I've almost got it paid for regardless. I'm not putting $1,000 firearms on there.
No, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like when you've got maybe something that's, I don't know, something special, and then the guy gets it in, and you're like, oh, hey, let me, lean on my friendship here and take that off the wall, and let me start paying you $200 a month instead of just somebody walking in and turning your $14,000 into $17,000 overnight. You'll slowly get your $17,000 eventually. I mean, it's like they'll do it, I'm sure, especially if you're friends or whatever. But that's I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna
a
put him.
customer versus an employee. But I've gotten the stink eye before. I had to return guns. Like I bought guns and then got a good deal or whatever, and it was like the spas. Like when I bought the spas, I wanted a spas 12 real bad, and I didn't really have the money, but I bought it anyway. And then I basically got the like not I don't know, sort of like he's pissed, like that we probably shouldn't have sold you that. I'm like, no worries, I'll just bring it back. And because I got it, but I got it at a deal, and they put it back on the wall, and it was gone the same day they put it back on the wall. Like that's just a gun that's going to go, and you'd rather have had somebody out there who buys spas running around saying he got it at the shop than me having it in my safe. I'm just looking at it.
Right.
So as a customer, I think, if you're, I think you maybe as a customer, if you're not like, we're talking, that was a relationship with the shop or whatever, and I bought it off of my friends basically, and then returned it because I didn't want to, have basically that favor I owed them or whatever, like, or that, thing I pissed them off, whatever you'd call like the anti-favor or whatever it was done. But if you're just a customer, then you just got to weigh that. Like, that's going to only go on for so many times. The guy's going to say, well, I can sell this $1,000 thing to you, or I could sell it for 1,200 tomorrow or later on today. Like, I'll sell it to you for 1,000, and you're go away happy. But if you come back expecting another $1,000, $1,200 gun, $200 discount, then that friendship's not going to be the same as, when you come in and
Sure.
don't try to buy their prize gun every time they put one up.
Yep.
I don't know. And I'm just thinking of situations where I've seen like that kind of stuff happen where like, I would get like an old cool gun, and then one of his friends would come in and be like, oh, dang, that's just like the one I kind of wanted. Let me grab that off you. And then he'd be like, dang it, I shouldn't have sold it to that guy.
Right.
Yeah, there is one shop in town which, when I go in there, they know who I am. I think it's more so they're just like, oh, there's the blind guy. But hey, walking around with that cane kind of has its benefits because people know me when I go into the shops. But anyways, this was probably a year ago. I went in and they had posted on Facebook that they had a GP 100. So I was like, all right, I'll be in, grab that, thanks. And so I go in, pick up the GP 100, and the guy that's working the desk, he's like, so I think we had something else that you'd have been really interested in. I'm like, yeah, what's that? He's like, Dan Wesson 715. I was like, son of a gun. I was like, why don't you guys post that? He's like, owner bought it. I'm like, really? I was like, that would have been a great thing for you guys to, have in the shop put on Facebook. I was like, granted, GP 100 is nice. I was like, but you can get those anytime. I was like, how often do you have the Dan Wesson walking in the door? He's like, I know. Then 3 months later, the owner was bored with it, and it was back in the shop.
Oh, we're hitting an hour. Just looking over on Instagram. I got a bunch of stuff. I haven't been looking at Instagram all day. Aside from the stuff, you got all your bacon done?
Yeah, I just finished up. Yeah, 3 batches of pies and a batch of macaroons.
Are you taking stuff to the shop or no?
No, it's for a family get together tomorrow night.
Right, but I'm just saying you didn't make stuff. It's not like a what do they call that, potluck or whatever, where people bring stuff.
Mm-mm. No, they'll do everything there. They'll have. I'm sure his wife will bake cookies and there'll be some type of brisket, pulled pork, something of that nature. Which, I mean, there's food every Saturday there. That's what's cool. But usually it's whatever is on sale at the local grocery store there. So, and most of the time it's like boneless chicken thighs or hot dogs or some type of sausages or something fairly cheap. It's not brisket and pulled pork every weekend, or brisket and or pulled pork or that type of thing. But it will be tomorrow. It'll be something like that.
Oh, so it's not like they got to hook up with some customer or friend of the family that supplies them with stuff. They just go to the store and buy it all the time.
Yeah, they buy it. Yeah, I mean when it's on sale. But so they spend, I would say they probably spend 20, 25 bucks. By the time you talk about the pellets required to smoke it, and then you're talking about the type of meats and stuff that they do every Saturday, they're probably spending 20, 25 bucks easily.
Oh, hell, way more than that, I'm sure. Paper plates and napkins and all that.
Yeah, I didn't think about the paper plates and paper
I was,
towels.
I was listening to a thing that they're talking about
Tortillas and-
restaurants and stuff right now, and they come about it on NPR. I don't know if I talked about this already. I was talking about this like 3 times already because it was driving me nuts. But restaurants are designed to buy food at a wholesale, cook it, so it's interesting and unique or whatever, and then sell it to you at some kind of markup so that they stay in business. And they're constantly throwing away stuff that gets old. Like they got a whole bunch of stuff they deal with that they got to deal with, right? Like there's ends of radishes that you throw away. Like there's just stuff that, is part of being in a restaurant or whatever. And now that they've got like less customers and nobody's eating there, they're not washing any dishes hardly. They're all wanting to go orders. This guy's like, number one, everything to go boxes cost more now because everybody wants them and they're all out. And if you can get them, they cost more. But then every order has one. So now it's like all of a sudden our food, whatever, our costs and stuff are just haywire. Like it's not only is it upside down, but it's upside down and everything costs different. So food costs more. And then it's like, and then you can't know when it's a lunchtime or a dinner time and, there's business nearby and they go on break and or lunch or whatever, you kind of can start to figure out what your costs are going to be. You start to figure out how much lettuce to buy. Right. You can figure out stuff. And then anyway, so I guess we're talking about food. That got me thinking about.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. But I mean, it's a pretty good ploy for them. I mean, they first of all they are the area authorized dealer or whatever for those grills, right? And so they're the
only. It's like that. Like there's a place in Tulsa that's like that too.
So yeah, it's a gun shop, but they they do sell those grills, right? So it helps with that because you can actually taste food off of them if you show up on a Saturday. And then they're so they're like the only game for, good Lord, the entire county or maybe a little bit further area to get those grills. And then on top of that, they sell the scratch and dent, and you have to have a special rating with the company or some kind of something to be able to get access to the scratch and dent model stuff. And so like you would have to go to like Dallas or Shreveport or something like that, you know what I'm saying, to be able to find another place where you can get the scratch and dents.
That means people are coming that far to get the scratch and dent.
Yeah, there's people that come from close to DFW and stuff to pick up a scratch and dent or whatever, because I mean they're saving that much.
All you gotta do is pay your gas money.
Yeah, and so so there's that aspect. And then I mean every other weekend that's my lunch, you know what I mean? And so they get a lot of business because people, and when they're there, they're going to buy something, right? So you get people coming because it's like, hey, instead of going down to the local, going down to McDonald's or, going in there and having to fix something, I'm just going to ride down the gun shop and eat lunch, basically, right? And then while they're there, it's like, oh crap, this is a cool gun. I'm going to buy it at a good price. I'm going to buy this. That's the extreme. But they'll buy a box of ammo or buy some cleaning stuff or buy, whatever.
They'll see that gun and go tell their friends, and their friend will go buy it, or their friend will be like, why didn't you buy it? And they'll go back and buy it. Like being aware is half the battle.
Right. But I'm just saying it is a draw to have a lunch on Saturdays. There's a draw that does create traffic.
Oh heck yeah! And I would now that you're saying it has the grills, that makes a lot more sense because I was thinking that they'd have to because I was gonna say when Bob would have a thing once a year,
Mhm.
he would have to pay somebody to bring a grill in, and then he'd do all this, and then I don't know, it's hard to say, but at least 10% to 20% of the people that showed up and ate never even went in the store. They just was a free lunch thing, so they were just sitting there
Right.
eating free lunch.
Right.
But anyway, if he's already got the grills and stuff,
Well,
yeah, that does make it a little cheaper.
it's a finite amount on Saturdays. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and
So
you're a little bit different than Tucson. Tucson, this was
yeah,
like on a bus route where people could just figure
you
it
gotta
out.
like you got to get there. You got to time it right, and depending on what they're cooking that particular Saturday, is when it's going to get done, pretty much. And so, you got
That's
to
how
time it just right. And so once the food comes off the grill, um, I mean, it's probably gone within an hour. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of time, and if you can't make it make it up there in time or whatever, then you won't get no lunch. So
whole
that's
trick for
that
restaurants is to just run a grill with onions on it to get people hungry. So there's that element too that people are just like driving by and they're like, "Oh, what's that smell? I guess I'm going to the gun shop."
right. Yeah. Yep. But it's going to
I've
be
had,
interesting to see the weather. The weather here is supposed to suck tomorrow, so uh, rainy and cold and all that. So it's going to be interesting uh, to see what it's like, and then to be with the atmosphere with everything going on and what have you. Going to be interesting to see how many people show up. I mean, the other thing they do on uh, with this is they have manufacturer reps or whatever that will show up and come and stuff too. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you said that, and I've seen reps show up, but not like on the day after Black Friday. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How big is the shop?
Uh, the retail space is probably 800 square foot, maybe
Oh, okay.
retail space, and then uh, and then they've got their gunsmithing area, whatever. That's probably close to that, quite honestly, because they've got a lathe and mill and all that, and reloading equipment, because they are a licensed ammo manufacturer. So, in
There's a
fact,
kind of situation where they're their own building on their own land.
oh yeah, yeah, and so in fact, I've been talking with them about potentially firing up the presses with ammo and all that stuff going on, because I told them, I mean, for somebody's got to be there to watch when, I mean, they're all automated and that kind of stuff, but you still have to fill supplies, and when a bullet falls over on the case or something like that, you got to be there to stop it and you know reset everything. Um, but I've talked to them about potentially trying to come in for 4 to 6 hours or something one day a week and crank out ammo.
That's weird. So they've got the machine sitting there; they're just not using them.
Yeah, they don't use them anymore, or
They had
they
a place
they
here that
haven't, or
was,
they haven't in a while. They haven't in a while. Back in the 2013 panic, they ran them hard, boy,
we
but
had a
they
place
haven't.
here. I think it's gone, but it was a gun shop. Technically, they had a couple of guns, and for a while, they only had like the amount of guns you needed to be called a gun shop still.
All right.
But they were mostly ammo remanufacturers, and their what do you call it? Their like contracts were for security guard places, so they would
Right.
use them for training or something, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, it was I don't know how big it was actually. I've been back there a couple of times, but it was one of those places that hard to tell. It was probably pretty big, but the rooms were all weird, so you kind of walked into a room to get to another room instead of hallways and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't really know how big it totally was, but pretty big and old. So just little small rooms like in an old house or something. You'd keep walking through rooms and stuff, but Yeah, it would just like every time you walk into a room, it would be sort of like what Dead Horse's dream would be like, just
Right.
6 or 8 presses, and 3 of them have robots on them, or 10 presses in this room, and then a room with just lead, and then like a room with just powders and stuff. It was
Mhm.
kind of neat to go in there, but
Right.
yeah, that's the kind of place you'd think would just be, oh, like we need to make ammo, hire another guy, or bring that guy in 2 days a week instead of 3 days or whatever,
Yeah.
or the other way around.
Well, they did. I mean, I don't know how they manage it now, or if they do. That's the inner workings of the business. It's way above my pay grade. But I know that once upon a time they did provide training ammo, like you're talking about, for uh, several security agencies. As a matter of fact, I know there's one guy that is he's a pretty big regular there that owns a security agency, and recently they've been trying to get them in some SIG. I'm not a big SIG fan, so I couldn't tell you which ones, but there's a certain SIG that he wants his security people to carry or whatever. Um, but anyway, they did was doing contracting and doing ammo for several security agencies and the local police academy as well, or law enforcement academy, or whatever you call it. And that was one of the cool perks of them doing that is they got to get the they got like first dibs on the like training guns and stuff that they would rotate through, which was pretty neat. I've got a
I wonder if that's a gun to get though, like after a school's done with it. I guess
I've got two. Well, I take that back. I've had three. I'm trying to think what models now. A model 65 Smith and Wesson that I've got now. It has absolutely zero problems. Uh, wonderful, wonderful. Uh, I've got a Mossberg 590 now, and I did have a Glock 22. Bought it simply for the price, and at the time I had a oh heck, the Keltec Sub 2000 in 40 caliber, and so I bought it because the price was phenomenal. The deal was phenomenal, and I already had the Keltec, and so it used the same mags and already had some 40 ammo, and um, but then I've never liked 40, but I had it. I won that Keltec at a Friends of the NRA. But anyway, ended up trading that Keltec for a 9mm version straight up to a guy. He had the 9mm, wanted the 40 because he had 40s, and I had that one and was way better off with the 9mm version. And so after we swapped that, I turned around and one of the few firearms I've ever sold was that Glock 22, and think I doubled my money on it when I sold it. To be honest with you, um, I ended up selling it. So I bought three from him that were uh, police academy, whatever firearms, and I never had an issue with any of them. They're not the
I would
prettiest.
almost
They're not the
imagine.
prettiest things in the world, you know.
I would almost imagine if the academy is actually providing the firearms for the uh, future law enforcement students, that they probably have an armor or something there to keep everything maintained. Just because if they handed that gun to a student and something catastrophic happened, that's a huge lawsuit waiting to happen.
I'm sure it is, and the particular law enforcement academy, the college it's attached to, has a gunsmithing program. So it's potentially. I know I went to school there for like a couple of semesters for auto mechanics back in the day, and we worked on faculty vehicles, we worked on student vehicles, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So there's almost no doubt that's probably where their stuff was taken care of, was through the gunsmithing program.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to kill two birds with one stone. I know, like the police academies. Sorry, what's that, Cover?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know the police academies here in PA. Whenever a student goes into the police academy, they're actually required to go and purchase their own weapons weapon. They give them certain parameters on what to get and what not. I think the only divisive thing that they have to get is got to be 9mm. But as far as everything else goes, they kind of recommend get a Springfield or a Glock or an M&P, something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I've threatened to go through the gunsmithing program here. What's cool about it is you could retake it. So like if you go through it and you want to go back through it again, it's like, I mean, I know several people that's done that, and they're like, yeah, I just asked the instructor, could I take, this part of the, come back for this part of the session or that part of the session or whatever. And yeah, you don't got to like sign up for tuition or nothing. You just, according to them, just show up all, so and so weeks or so and so days of whatever you need a refresher or what have you, and like an audit, I guess, in a way, type thing. But yeah, previous students apparently, if you've graduated the courses anyway, there's 3 different levels, and so apparently once you graduate one, you can always go back and audit and hang out, and that's probably a benefit too, in a way, to new students. Have somebody that's already been through the course there, and so you kind of got a teacher's aide type situation going on too, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 universities and half a dozen or more community colleges here in Omaha, and auditing is such a great idea. Usually you just need instructor permission, so you don't even have to go through the offices at the university. You can just find a parking spot if you're lucky, and walk into class and be able to sit there and participate. It's freaking awesome. And when you don't have a paper, or you don't have a test, you don't have a quiz, you don't have any of that you have to participate in, or the money that it costs now to take a class, I don't know why anybody would not want to pursue their interests, either new or once abandoned, for just the time it takes. It's a freaking great idea.
Which also reminds me, the other night, G-Webs had mentioned a guy named like Flatbed Fred or something like that was asking about the gunsmithing program that Night Strike and I went to. Even though I'm all done with that course, I can still log in online and go back in and look at anything I wanted from those courses. And now, last time I had done that, they actually have videos and everything else that they didn't have before when I took the program.
What did you say? They have what now that they didn't have before?
Videos. When I took the program, we had one section of the program just dedicated to 1911s, and another section of the program was just dedicated to AR-15s. Then, like a year after I had completed the program, I just logged in for shits and giggles because they're like, hey, you'll still, you'll always be able to get in here, and if there's anything you want to brush up on or anything like that, you can look up everything online. And I could, last I knew, I could still even view all my test scores. And when I had logged in, I was like, oh, there's videos now. So I clicked on a couple of them, and it's showing, how to completely tear down a 1911 and all that good stuff. I was like, man, these would have been awesome when I was taking the course. But even now, if I wanted to or needed to, I could go back and watch those videos.
I'm going to take off for a second, so you guys keep it going for a second, if you would.
So, Clover, what's the name of that school that has the gunsmithing program?
Kilgore College.
I think I remember G-Webs mentioning that. The name of it, at least. When he was doing the 50 States to 2A.
Maybe. I may have. I don't know how he would have known unless it was something I've added once upon a time to a gun channels list or something. It's just possible.
I'm not. I think I really don't know what he did. Man, there is something like 15 or so gunsmith schools that he ended up finding across the nation. So,
way more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, it might be more than that. I could be severely lowballing it. I don't remember the exact number that he found, but it was a very good number. And you said Kilgore with a G, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I swear I remember him mentioning that one.
But yeah, at one time over on the gun channels, there was places you could go in and add stuff like gun shops, museums, gunsmithing schools, all this other stuff. So pretty regularly we would go in there and add little things here and there. So it's very possible I added it at some point over there, and that's probably where he pulled some of his information from. But it's not a big place, a big school or anything like that at all. It's a fairly small town. I don't even know what the population is. Go see. Even though it's a quote unquote college town. Population. Where's it at? Just a little bit under 15,000 population. So
that's not much smaller than my hometown, and that's considered a college town too. But it's not. It's a private college, I guess you'd say. But then again, there's Edinburgh, which is like 15 miles from me or so, and that's actually got a state college at it. And I bet you there are probably not more than 10 or 15,000 people in there either.
Yeah, that's about the size. The biggest city in the county. I'm positive that's the biggest city in that county. I'm positive it is, and it's about the same size as the biggest city in my county here, too. So, and the city here's we've got I ain't got no mouse in my pocket, but they've got a junior college. They did have two junior colleges, and then the sad thing about it, one of them is a Baptist junior college. The other one was neither. It was just a junior college. And anyway, they didn't have a football program. And so they started a football program. I don't even remember because they've been closed down for so long now. They've been closed down for probably 10 years. But I'm going to say probably 12 years ago, if that's the case. They started a football program and they gave some seedy individuals full scholarships and stuff like that, right, to fill their football roster and all this other stuff, spent a bunch of money on the stadium and did all this other stuff. And crime just went rampant, man, when the football program kicked off. And so, yeah, it wasn't very long. The football program, that was like a death nail in the coffin, man. It killed that college. And that college has been around for years, man, maybe even 100 years. And they started pumping money into football. And like I said, as far as the community, thefts, good Lord, man, thefts went up. It was insane. But yeah, they built new football stadium, of course, parking areas, dormitories, field houses, major freaking millions and millions of dollars in development. And, that, like I said, in combination with, they just didn't get a lot of support because, like I said, crime pretty much immediately went up when they opened that football program and they brought in,
I don't know what happened. It's all that pay-per-view money. The football addicts, they got to watch their football games, so you got to have that pay-per-view money.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't get the corollary. What's the corollary between football and crime?
The individuals that they give scholarships to.
That's weird.
You know,
Huh.
not really. I mean, they give scholarships to guys that had criminal records and all kind of stuff, man, and it was horrible. They
Yeah,
were
I mean,
putting them up into. They were putting them up into. They put them up before they got the dormitories built for them. They were putting them up in local hotels, which was even more money they were spending, right? And I mean, their compadres and stuff from, I don't know what you'd call them, from back home were like, there'd be like 4 people living in a hotel room, and there'd be like extra people living in the dorms, like their riffraff friends and stuff like that. And it was horrible, man. They didn't do any vetting or anything. It's like, can you play football? Yeah, okay, come on. Here's a full scholarship, and we're gonna house you, and we're gonna do this and do that. I mean, they no vetting to see who they were bringing in, and they brought in 8, 10 individuals that combined with some of the local individuals, and then brought other individuals in from other areas, and um, yeah, I've got friends with the PD there, and um, man, I can tell you all kind of stories and hassle. They almost had hassles out of the football scholarship guys from day one. I mean, the day they arrived in town, according to them. But again, it's it yeah. I mean, the person's responsible for their actions, but at some point, the school was or the college was, man, they were just so blinded by getting a football program established and going after not having it for 100 years. They were so blinded by that they, there was all kind of things that they overlooked, and it was horrible.
Well, how long do you think it'll be before there's rifle teams at colleges again?
Well, there are already rifle
Well, I
teams.
shouldn't say
Some.
there are, but there are.
Yeah.
It's common again.
Um, it's been on the incline. It and shotgun teams. Um, it's been on the incline for the
Yeah,
last
whenever I did
few years
stuff
for
looking at competition.
high school teams included. So
Yeah, there's a lot of high school ones. When I was doing the stuff, looking at the different competition stuff, and then the youth stuff. What is it? NCAA, where like basketball and shit. Like I thought that was just basketball, but it is
nope.
a whole bunch of stuff. And shooting's in there. Like shooting is in NCAA.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, then the different divisions in the NCAA, like 1 through 4. We got Division 1, Division 2, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, University of Nebraska Lincoln in our capital city and the oldest university in the state. They offer almost every permutation of sports competition, and I think it was their archery squad actually that had a run almost as long in championship or finals appearances as our damn football team did. So yeah, they're equal opportunity.
My youngest daughter, the university she went to, they actually tapped her for to help build or get their shooting sports stuff started, or their archery and rifle anyway. They already had shotgun, and I think they've got pistol now, but they didn't at the time. But yeah, one thing led to another. I don't remember how it happened, but she got an email one day, and it was like, "Hey, we know that you." She was a fresh. Was she a freshman? I think she was. I think she was a freshman. Um, and they were like, "Hey, we know that So the year before, she had won state in archery, and they were like, we know that you were spent 10 years in 4-H shooting sports and this, that, and the other, blah blah blah, all this experience with competition, and we're looking together. We want to expand on shotgunning and move into rifle and archery. And would you be interested in helping with the program in your spare time, things like that. And so for, I don't know, not quite a year, I'm going to say something like that. It wasn't like an everyday gig or, hours every day, or she was an assistant coach or, anything like that. But she worked with the shooting sports team leaders and stuff like that about, certain curriculum to set up and practicing and, equipment needs and uh, more of a, what would be the word? Consultant, I guess, more of a consultant type position, which was kind of neat for her anyway. It's kind of neat. Killed the chat. Well,
Yep.
right.
Sorry, I've been looking at something on
That's
the.
what you get when it's
Google.
1:30 Eastern time, I guess.
We got 4 people out there. I'm guessing there's not a bunch of people that you're going to be jumping in tonight, so we can probably wrap it up at some point here. Unless you guys got other topics to talk about, or if anybody who is out there wants to throw some other topic out there. Again, we're not here to follow the whim of the whatever the news of the day. Try to do something that's just guns and an alternative, I guess, to that kind of stuff. So appreciate everybody that comes and joins us for this. And it's sort of this is truly hit or miss. We never know if this is going to be. Well, it's almost actually been. I think it's been pretty much hits. The first little bit, I mope and then nobody joins, and then everybody joins, and it turns into a rock and chat.
Shame everybody. Chat shame everybody. G. That's horrible.
Yeah, I need to figure out some way to start the first half an hour. My problem is I don't always start. I mean, sometimes I start the show late. I do pretty good at starting it right at 10 and most of the time. But then there's occasional times where I'll start it late. So I guess people might show up, 10:30 just to be sure not to be wasting their time or whatever. But yeah, there's always like that beginning time when, well, maybe barbecue and DJ jump in. But I do appreciate that. But got to figure out how to get the first 20 minutes into some sort of a mode or something. I was thinking maybe go back and address the topics from yesterday. I don't know. I'll keep playing with it.
Got to do a previously on the Daily Gun Show.
Right. Because a lot of times, especially like this, often I'll fall asleep, especially if these guys are still going or whoever's on there is still going, and I'll be falling asleep. I have to end it just because I can't keep my eyes open. I've fallen asleep in here before. But yeah, like sometimes the topics are just good and something doesn't get hit, and that's something that TBC to be continued for the next show, or just kind of previously on.
Right.
Yeah,
anyway,
replay of the noon program, or an editorial take on it. I think that's a good way to roll through the first 15, 20 minutes.
Well, I don't want to give myself a lot of extra work here. So easy.
Okay.
Running it though, just playing it, that might work, or speeding through it or something.
Yeah.
Something I can do on the fly, basically, not have to do ahead of time. But anyway, we're taking suggestions, so if anyone wants to throw some in there, feel free. Otherwise, unless somebody's got anything else, I guess we'll wrap it up. Say thanks again for the opportunity to talk about guns all the time, and we'll be back to pick you up later.
Sounds great.
Anybody
have a good weekend, everybody.
You want to plug anything before we head out?
Small Business Saturday. Get out and support those folks.
Yeah, it's an important one, I think. It gets overlooked by that big box store Friday. Everybody pays attention to.